Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we are going to be doing another Walking Dead Q&A video. Thank you guys so much for all the questions and all the support. It really means the world to me. If you guys want to know how you can get your questions to me for next week's Q&A, just drop them down below in the comment section. Just make sure you put Q&A before you ask me your questions, or hit me up on Instagram at Daryls_vest, and I will get every single question answered. It means the world. Thank you guys so much. Let's get into the video, man. So the first question that we have today is, do you think anyone could have played Rick better than Andrew Lincoln? And I'm going to say no. I know that there were talks about a guy named Thomas Jane playing Rick Grimes, and I think he would have done a very good job, but I'm glad they went with Andrew Lincoln. If you guys don't know who Thomas Jane is, I definitely recommend a movie called The Punisher. It's just a pretty awesome, like, action-packed watch. Pretty sad, too, and satisfying ending. Very good movie, in my opinion. And also, he was in a movie called The Mist, which had Jeffrey DeMunn, who played Dale, also had Laurie Holden, who played Andrea, and also had Melissa McBride, who plays Carol. And I believe that The Mist was either directed or written by Frank Darabont, who was the showrunner of The Walking Dead throughout the first season and a half. So it makes sense why Thomas Jane got so close to playing Rick Grimes. You know what I mean? Obviously, Frank Darabont was probably pushing for them to go with Thomas Jane over Andrew Lincoln, I would assume. But I'm glad that they ended up going with Andrew Lincoln because he was made to play Rick Grimes, in my opinion. If Andrew Lincoln never existed, I think Thomas Jane would have been a fantastic Rick Grimes, but I'm really glad they ended up going with Andrew Lincoln for the role of Rick Grimes. Next question we have is, do you think Carl would have found Rick way faster than Michonne? Absolutely not. Carl would have died like an hour after he left to find Rick. I mean, Michonne has legit survival like skills and instincts, and she's very intelligent, very skilled with the sword. She's just a true survivor, a true warrior, a great character. Carl would have died probably an hour after he left to find Rick. So I'm glad that we didn't see that storyline. What's something that changed from the book? I mean, the comic books are way different, man. Honestly, there's so many things. I can't even really answer that. I mean, there's so many things that changed from the book. I would definitely recommend reading the comic books. I know a lot of you guys that watch my videos probably haven't read the comic books, so definitely recommend the comics, man. There's so many things that changed. I mean, from the way they handle Shane's death to the Whisperer Pike scene, um, everything. I mean, there's so many differences in the comics. It's like a whole different experience. So I definitely recommend reading the comics if you guys haven't. The next question we have is, which death was the most unexpected? I think either Glenn or Carl. Glenn or Carl was just like, it just caught me off guard. Glenn's really impacted me a lot more than Carl, but I mean, in terms of being unexpected, right? I would probably say Carl just because I never thought Carl was really going to die. I thought Carl and Rick would live all the way to the end. Um, but yeah, Carl ended up getting bit in season 8, and I can truly say that that just like shocked the hell out of me. I was just like, what the heck? I didn't hate it though, like everyone else did. You know, a lot of people really liked Carl. I never really liked Carl that much, to be honest. So I wasn't like devastated whenever Carl died. I didn't think whenever I saw that scene, like, wow, this is the end of The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead is done without Carl. I mean, I never thought that Carl would have been a good lead for the show or anything. I was never really into Carl that much, so I wasn't, thinking anything like that, but it was very unexpected at the same time. So I'd probably say Carl. Um, Next we have, do you prefer the books or the show? I mean, I haven't read the comic books all the way through. I've only read like the first volume. So, I mean, I would say the show. I started off on the show. I was like 12 or 11 years old when I started watching The Walking Dead back in season 2. So I would say I prefer the show. Next question we have is, what do you think about all the spin-offs The Walking Dead has made? I truthfully love it. I honestly really enjoy the spin-offs, man. I think that the Walking Dead spin-offs have just rejuvenated me as a fan. You know, Daryl Dixon was really awesome. It had such a cool, unique vibe, and it felt so different from the show, but it was still really great. You know what I mean? And Norman Reedus as Daryl, once again, just perfect. And Dead City was probably my least favorite out of these, brand new 3 spin-offs, but I still enjoyed Dead City. Negan and Maggie, they're always fun to see together in New York. It was pretty cool, right? It was like my least favorite spin-off out of the brand new 3, but it was still pretty awesome though. So yeah, I would say overall I have a very positive opinion on the spin-offs, especially The Ones Who Live, man. The Ones Who Live has just blown me out of the water. I know there's been some negative feedback, but guys, that's life, man. No matter how good something is in your opinion, there's always going to be some person out there that's not having as good of a time as you. And that's just life. So don't let anyone else ruin anything for you. If you love something, if you love The Walking Dead, if you love The Ones Who Live, enjoy it, man. Enjoy it while you can. Have fun. Don't argue and don't debate with people about why it's good and why it's not bad. Just enjoy it on your own time with your family and your friends and have a good time. That's what I do, man. I don't argue anymore. I love The Walking Dead. I think it's the best show I've ever watched, and it's just what it is. It resonates with me. If it doesn't resonate with some other people, sucks to be you. Sorry. I hope you find a show that you love. You know what I mean? I'm not going to argue with anybody about it. And that's what I would recommend for you guys. You know what I mean? Just enjoy the shows while you can, man. And I personally have really loved the Walking Dead spinoffs. And I mean, The Ones Who Live's got a 13.3 or what is it, a $13.8 million budget or something like that per episode. I mean, this show is huge, man. It's been a massive success. And I mean, yeah, it's incredible. So the next question we have is, who is your favorite person to watch the show with? So it's funny because I actually started watching The Walking Dead with my dad a long time ago back in season 2. And just as I grew up and I moved out and stuff like that, we kind of stopped watching it. But I would always go watch The Walking Dead with my dad at his house for certain episodes, you know, like season finales and mid-season finales and stuff like that, mid-season premieres. We did watch the final episode together. It's always just really nostalgic for me to watch with my dad. I also really like watching it with my girlfriend. Right now, we're in the middle of a rewatch, and that's just like really fun. I also really like watching it with my grandma, you know. I'd say those three people are my favorite people to watch The Walking Dead with. Probably my dad, my grandma, and my girlfriend. And it's just really, it was like a very awesome thing for me as a like 11-year-old kid to stay up all night watching The Walking Dead with my dad. You know, we stayed up on the back deck back in 2011 or 2012, I believe, and we were watching season 2 on his phone on the back deck, and we just stayed up all night, and it was just incredible, man. It was on like a Friday night, and I was just so hooked on the show, man. So that was a very special memory for me. Also, just watching it with my grandma throughout the years, and then recently watching it with my girlfriend has been a blast. Even though I've already seen it, the rewatch has been so much fun with her. So those three people are my favorite people to watch the show with. Next, we have thoughts on Negan and Daryl being a duo. I mean, it'd be cool. You know, I would love to see Negan and Daryl. I was kind of saying that before the spinoffs got announced. I was like, dang, imagine if they made a spinoff with Negan and Daryl. Like, wouldn't that be freaking awesome? And I think it would be, man. Imagine a spinoff with Negan and Daryl. That'd be so awesome. But we didn't get that, unfortunately. But it is what it is. The spinoffs are pretty awesome. I think that would have been cooler than some of the ones we got, but it is what it is. I think Negan and Daryl would be a really awesome duo, man, honestly. Next, we just have a couple more questions, guys. We have Q&A. Do you think Negan should have died? I don't know if someone asked you this yet because I'm not done with the video. No one's ever asked me that. And do I think Negan should have died? I think he should have died back in the day, yeah. But I'm glad that they didn't, right? Like when I was watching Negan absolutely destroy Glenn and Abraham, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till Rick kills you, bro. And then now Negan's become one of my favorite characters, and I'm so happy that he's still alive, you know? So I'd say back in the day, I thought he should have died, but I'm glad that he didn't. Here we go, guys. Last question. He said, Q&A, long question, sorry. What do you think about a possible wildfire virus vaccine? Or let's assume that the last series in the history of The Walking Dead will be created, in which we will learn the story of a secret or well-known CRM group of scientists who managed to fight the virus. Or do you prefer The Walking Dead as a series typically about survival during the apocalypse? Edit, I just discovered your channel, but I think I'll stay here for a longer time. You have great content. Well, thank you very much. It means the world to me that you're enjoying the channel, honestly. And to answer the first part of your question, what do I think about a possible wildfire virus vaccine? I'm not a big fan of the whole like vaccine thing. You know what I mean? The whole vaccine theory. I don't really want there to ever be a vaccine. I like the brutality of the world, and I like the way that the Walking Dead world has been formed. And I think that a vaccine, I think it's a good end game. I think you only talk about the vaccine when it's the absolute end game, right? Like when the series is done, when they're going to shut everything down, when we're done with the Walking Dead universe, I think you can talk about a vaccine. But right now, I think there's so much potential, especially after The Ones Who Live. And we'll have to see what happens with the finale, you know, later tonight. I'm going to stay up, you know, till 2 a.m. and watch the finale, but we'll have to see what happens with that. I think that's one of the biggest episodes, probably the biggest episode in the history of The Walking Dead. We'll have to see what's going to happen with that and just what the trajectory of the franchise is going to be over the next couple of years, but I don't think we should hear anything about a vaccine for a very long time. And very quickly, just to answer the second part of your question, when you're talking about what story I prefer, about the CRM scientists who have managed to fight the virus, or do I prefer the Walking Dead series, typically just about survival during the apocalypse? I definitely prefer the survival during the apocalypse storylines way more than, a storyline about scientists finding a vaccine, just because I love the conflicts that arise from the Walking Dead world. You know what I mean? I love that drama and questioning of humanity and stuff like that. Just like what happened in season 2, right? Whenever the Randall conflict happened with Shane and Rick and Lori, and there's all that drama. Like season 2 is incredible, guys. Season 2 is it's just insane, man. There's so many great conflicts and so many great things that happen during that season where the questioning of your humanity gets brought up over and over again and thrown into your face, and you have to make a decision, right? Where you want to be a good person, but you also want to live, and not just live, but live comfortably, you know what I mean? And live safely and securely. So I think that I prefer just the post apocalyptic survival story way more than a story about scientists finding a cure. Maybe I'd check it out if it was like a mini series, but I 100%, no question, prefer the survival storylines during the apocalypse. So that's going to conclude the Q&A, guys. It's been a very long video for me. This is very, very long. So thank you guys so much for all the love and all the support. Don't forget, if you guys have any other questions you want me to answer in next week's Q&A, just drop them down below in the comments and I will get them all answered for you guys. I am going to be staying up very, very late tonight to watch the finale of The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, at 2 a.m. So if anybody is doing that as well, let's do it, guys. Don't fall asleep. The finale is here. We can't go to sleep. There's no way I can shut my eyes again without knowing what happens in this finale. 1000% I'm staying up late tonight to watch the finale. So I will have that review for you guys tomorrow at 9 p.m. Thank you guys so much for all the love and the support. The channel's been doing so well lately. The love and the support I've felt from this channel, it's incredible. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you tomorrow in the review. Stay safe out there in the crazy world, guys. Peace out.